Hello, Missouri. I'm Vernon Mason. I'm in one of my pre-K classrooms here in Wilson, North Carolina. And you're wondering, why am I coming to you? Well, I'm coming to you as your keynote speaker on February 19th. I'll be coming to you and we'll be talking about leading by change. I've been an administrator for 25 years in the early childhood field. Early childhood, being an administrator in early childhood, the number of years are kind of like dog years. I say each year as an administrator in early childhood is worth at least 3 to 5 years in the normal working field. So I've been an administrator for probably 75 years, theoretically. I'm sure you can relate to that. In 1991, we opened our first child care program. We started with 5 children and it grew to 30. We outgrew that location and we renovated the building and moved in, and we grew that program to 125. In 1999, that program was destroyed in a natural disaster. So we spent the next year in a temporary location, building, designing a new location, and we moved in a year later. We grew that program to 248 children. A few years ago, I turned 40, and I was looking for a challenge. So I went to a neighboring county, and I purchased 3 troubled child care programs. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but it has been one of the most challenging things I've ever done. Changing the culture of a child care program is difficult. It is mind-blowingly difficult. I've experienced a lot in the last 25 years. One of the things I like to do when I go around the country doing keynotes is I like to tell the stories. A lot of people hear my stories and they think there's no way they can be true, but because you've been in the field like I am, you'll understand and you'll be able to relate to them. Recently I've done CPR on a hamster. I'm sure you can understand that. A few years ago I actually terminated an employee in the middle of Walmart because she felt like shopping and didn't feel like working. Sometimes employees do what my friend Annette Gentry says, they get struck dumb. That means they do things that we don't understand why they've done those, and then we find ourselves as administrator having to apologize or straighten the mess out. One of the most interesting stories that I have where that's concerned is the toddler teacher who cut a child's bangs. Yes, cut the 1-year-old's bangs. It was unbelievable. When the parent came in and said, "I think someone's cut her bangs," I said, "No, we wouldn't cut someone's hair." Lo and behold, when I went in and talked to the teacher, yes, she had cut her hair. Well, I'll tell you more about that story, but the moral of that story is the child did stay with us until they graduated and went to kindergarten, so that worked out fine. But it's one of those situations you just don't think you'd ever find yourself in. On February 19th, we'll be talking about leading through change. One of the things I've learned over the years is learning from a crisis. We're always going to have a crisis. There's always something that's going to come up. And it really isn't a waste unless we don't learn something from it. When we're through with a crisis, in most situations, we can sit back and realize what we learned from it, what we should do differently. We'll also be talking about finding and keeping your happiness. As an early childhood administrator, finding and keeping your happiness is vital. It's the only way we remain sane. If we depend on everybody else for our happiness, it doesn't work. We have to become happy within ourselves. So we'll talk about how to do that. So I hope you'll come out and spend the day with me on February 19th. We will definitely have fun. I guarantee you, you will leave feeling better than you did when you got there. And if you're not careful, you might actually learn something that day. So until February 19th, we'll see you then.